Hello veg lovers, back to my small garden in early February. Now there are a few things I would like to do today. Firstly, I want to check over the garden to see how it's going, to see what seeds, if anything, are coming through that are planted from the autumn. I also want to plant my first outdoor seeds of the season, which is the broad beans. I want to have a check on my wormery to check that that's okay. I also want to give some TLC to a very poorly plum to see if I can help it this year or not. It's a little bit hit and miss, but we'll see how we go, because that might have to be chopped down later this year if I can't do anything with it. I also need to go inside to plant some indoor seeds and to check on the other items from the previous video to see how the sprouting seeds are going on. So stay with me and let's see what early February brings into the small veg plot. Right, I want to check the wormery. Now I've had this wormery since probably September, late September probably. So they haven't had a chance to multiply a great deal. We've had temperatures of -6, so I'm just wondering whether they survived here or not. So let's just have a check. Let's just take the lid off. But I am guessing that they're going to be in this layer. Oh yes. No, they're also going in the top layer. I don't know if you can see the bottom of this, but they are trying to get to the top layer, which is good. And they're all in the bottom layer. So they're doing fine. That's okay. That's all I wanted to check, if they're doing okay. Now we need to have a look around the garden to see what's going on. In my big raised beds, we can see that we've got onions coming through. On one side, not this side so much. It seems one side seems to be better than the other at the moment. There are a couple coming through, but I think when the dog jumped on here previously, she did dislodge quite a few and destroy quite a few, so we'll see what goes on with this. Hence these little hoops I've put over just to try and stop her getting on the bed. Now I've tried to do some weeding, but of course as soon as you weed, the weeds are back, and I don't mind having some weeds in the garden. You know, I'm not averse to having weeds. The compost bin, let me have a look at this. It's got lots of scraps from not only the garden, but it's also got scraps in from the vegetables. I need to give that a bit of a turn, so I'll have a go at that. What I'm also going to be doing today is I've got a bag of compost here, which I'm going to put some around the apple tree and around the raspberries, just to give them a little bit of extra nutrients for the year ahead. Just about an inch layer, something like that, nothing too much. We've got the garlic coming through on this small bed, which is nice to see, and the other beds are ready, waiting to be planted. The asteria, the tree cabbage, is growing well, so -6 doesn't bother that in the slightest, which is really nice to see. And the trial spring cabbages seem to be okay, so we'll still get something off those. Now this is interesting here. Now I planted these late in the autumn, and I wasn't expecting this to do, well, they probably won't do anything. I'll probably still have to remove them because it was too late in the season to plant them, but it's radicchio. Now what I will do is probably get rid of these and start again with those in another pot, because I need that one for other things. That's a remaining sprout there again that was late, but I thought I'll just leave it until I plant things up in this, just to see what happens. I've still got a little bit of my kale left, so that will be nice to have over the next week or two. Now this small space here is going to be where I'm going to plant, which is now the broad beans. Now what I'm going to do with the broad beans is I'm going to put the little cage around them now, instead of waiting for them to grow. because it's going to be more difficult when they grow to actually get that set up, because it's so close to this shed. So that's what I'm going to be doing now. Now this doesn't seem very rigid to me, but we'll see how it goes. I might have to do a little bit of work on this, but that will probably do for now. And now I'm going to plant broad bean parmesan. Now I'm thinking probably about 8 in this size. It's around about 2 foot square, just under. And I think I could probably get away with 8. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, one more. 8. So I'm going to put 8 in here. So I'm going to stagger them. So if I do sort of 1, 2, 3, and I might do 4 there. 4. Then we'll have 5, 6, 7, and perhaps 8 there. So I think that's how I'm going to do this. So let's pop them in. There we go. Let's just cover them over. Now this is my little plum tree that's got such issues. It's done remarkably well to survive, really, because when we had high winds a couple of years ago, 2 large branches broke off and one left a big scar which is virtually rotten inside the tree, so I'm amazed it actually still grows. But because the tree was obviously weakened, for the last 2 years we've had a real problem with green fly on this. Well, all sorts of aphids, to be honest. So we were starting to get, you know, buds coming on and things now. So it's what I'm going to do is I've bought some bug spray, which is organic, garden friendly, and I'm going to try and save this tree, or it gets chopped down in the autumn. Now the 2 things I've got to try with the plum. This one is neem oil spray. Now it's supposed to be harmless to animals, slightly toxic to fish, and only slightly toxic to bees, but I don't want it to be toxic at all to bees. So what I'm going to do is spray this plum now, because it'll have overwintering aphids eggs on it. So I really haven't much hope on this. I did try it inside the house on the little fruit flies that are going around the house, and it didn't touch them in the slightest. So I don't know if this is going to work. But what I'm going to do is spray with the neem spray while it hasn't got any foliage on it at all, and then it can't harm anything, only the eggs of aphids apparently. So we'll see how that goes. Any other outbreaks, or afterwards when the leaves are on but not when it's flowering, I'm going to use this repellents and trainers one, which has got the citronella in it, so it's just really a deterrent that flies and insects don't particularly like. So if I have problems with black fly on anything, you know, wash them off and then give the leaves a little spray with this. can pull them around the base too. So we'll try this organic way of doing it to see if it does help the plum. I'd hate to lose it because it does have beautiful plums even though it's only a little tree. So let's have a go. Now I've thoroughly doused the tree, and I'll probably do that again in a week or two's time, and maybe a third time as well before anything happens on it, just to see if we can get rid of the aphid problem it has. I would not like to see having cut down, but I'm afraid if it's damaged to that extent, which I mean it already looks pretty damaged, we will have to obviously chop it down, which I don't like to do. Now in contrast, just look at the fig tree. Now this little fig tree is absolutely covered in figs. Now some of these will fall off before summer. The winds will blow some of them off, and some of them just naturally drop off. But it does look like I'm going to have a fantastic harvest of these again. Now my husband loves figs. Me, I could take them or leave them. I'm not a big fan, but I do like to make fig chutney, which is really gorgeous, and we do like that. So hopefully, if you can see those little figs on there, we're going to have a really good harvest. Now the things with figs, now this is a brown turkey fig. Now they're supposed to grow better in containers, but this wasn't a container. Then we moved here and I planted it, and to be honest it's done remarkably well. But I suppose this square bed, you could say, is like a very large container. But a nice thing about here as well is it's reasonably sheltered. That part is. Unfortunately where the plum is, the wind sort of whips around that, but where the fig is, it's quite still. We don't get much there, and it doesn't get that cold here because it's close to the house. So normally, you know, if you get a cold winter or the -60s and whatever, you would lose quite a few of the figs. But as this is close to the house, it keeps it reasonably temperate. Now, if you've noticed here, I've got a gap between the rosemary, the fig and the plum. Now I'm going to be planting something there. I'm going to plant another fruit bush there. Now it depends how this goes, because in the summer months it doesn't get quite as much light. It's a little bit more shaded here than it is elsewhere. But I will show you that in the next video, what I'm going to put there. This little dark patch here you can see, as I have planted wild garlic. Well, the bulbs of anyway, I bought them and put them there. So hopefully we'll get some garlic earlier in the year, some wild garlic leaves and flowers to be able to use in my cooking. Also, of course, garlic is a natural repellent for insects, so putting it by the plum might also help. We can only see. I've got a little bit of compost activation here, little powder, so I might just put a little bit on this just to help. Put a bit more on when the weather gets warmer, when it'll actually be more active. Now I'm going to put some peat, well, not peat, peat-free should I say, compost around the tree and fill up some of the tubs that are looking a bit lame. So it's just a matter of me squishing this up and just throw it on, really, just to go round the tree, and then I can rake it over. It just helps to give it some nutrients. And some of the pots that are a bit lacking as well. I mean, hopefully next year I'll be able to use my own compost to do quite a bit of this. Until then, I had a question somebody asked about compost, whether I still use old compost when it's been grown in. Well, yes, I do. It's just a waste of soil if you don't. I reuse it, but just put another inch or two of compost on top of it. And that will give the nutrients for the year. This is something else I wanted to show you here. This is the remnants, the leftovers of the salad bed that's just outside the back door, the A-frame that I was talking about in previous videos. Now, I've left this lettuce here just to show you before I pull it out, that has sat there since November, and there was others that were in that bed and others leaves that are in the bottom ones here, and they survived the winter because of the proximity to the house. So I don't need to cover salad leaves, and I can get away with having these virtually through the winter just by being by the back door. Obviously I'm going to leave in the salad onions because they should start taking off again shortly. Again, they were planted at the same time. So it is worth trying things that you don't think will survive the winter. If you put them close to the house, or in the case of my worms, close to the shed at the back there, then you can possibly keep them going for longer and through the season. Well, I've done what I wanted to do for outside, so now it's time to go inside and plant a few more seeds, and also check on the seeds, the sprouted seeds that I planted last week. Okay, we're back into my little potting room, and let's have a look at what we've got going in the first place. Okay, the seed potatoes have started to chit, so they're fine. They're all right for another month to sit there until it's time to go out. Now, if we have a look, if you saw my last video that was about sprouting seeds and the hydroponic system, well, as you can see, the sprouting seeds have come on very well. In fact, you can probably eat some of those now, and that's after a week. So it took a week to get from seed to virtual plants, which of course you can just pick out and eat, or let them just grow a little bit further on to get more of the seeds to sprout first. Now, nothing's happening yet in the hydroponic system. I would expect that to probably be another week or so before that starts having any seeds sprouting in it, but I'll keep an eye on that one. And now for today, we're going to plant the chilli seeds. Now, the chilli seeds I'm using today are called Mirasol. They obviously will have to use the heat mat to sprout these because germination needs to be around about 25 to 30 degrees C. So they're a slow grower, erratic to emerge, can take 35 days for germination, so it could be a long-winded process. But I'm just going to grow a couple, a sort of an heir and a spare, so to speak. So I'll just get on with it. Now this, what I'm using, this compost, is a seed and cutting compost, so it's ideal for these. Now, I don't need to really use a big tray like this, really. It seems a waste, but I've got enough of them, so it's not too bad. And all I'm really doing is fill in a couple of them, just so that it's So I've got those like that, just pat it down a little bit. And then I'm going to put in just a couple of these seeds. We don't even know how they're going to germinate, so you know, this could be a bit trial and error. As these are going to be grown in the house and not go outside, it's not so bad. Let's just put 2 seeds, 1 in each, and then I'm just going to cover it with a light dusting of, there we go, compost. I'll leave it like that. Don't need that in there really. Now, we've got lids for these, so it's going to keep it nice and warm. I need to obviously label it first, so that I know what I'm actually growing in there. So, nearer salt, chilies. So I'll put that in there. I'll get one of the lids. Ready, and I'm going to spray it with some water. Just a light spray, and I'm going to set it on the heat mat and leave it for probably a month. So I'm thinking the light from the hydroponics will probably be enough to help with germination, so I don't think I need to put the lights on to do that, but we'll see. But we'll give that time. I think that's enough for today. In the next video I'll be showing you what I'm going to be planting next to that plum, and I'm also going to be taking you somewhere where I might get some inspiration. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.